A gang of people smugglers are convicted in France. Long jail sentences for 18 people thought to be behind 10,000 small boat channel crossings. And £2,000 for this piece of cake, which is almost 80 years old.
It is election eve in America. Donald Trump and Kamala Harris are making their final push in the key swing states that could decide the next president of the United States.
We stand on the verge of the 4 greatest years in American history. We really something. With your help, we will restore America's promise and we will take back the nation that we all love so much.
I see the promise of America in everyone who is here, in every one of you, in every one of us. We are the promise of America.
More heavy rain hits Spain, causing flooding around Barcelona less than a week after more than 100 people were killed in floods around Valencia. And in Indonesia, rescuers search for bodies under buildings destroyed by a series of volcanic eruptions on the island of Flores. Now let's turn to the latest from the Middle East, and the US Secretary of State has urged Israel to substantially increase humanitarian aid into Gaza. Antony Blinken has spoken with Israel's Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and called for civilians in all parts of Gaza to get better access to food, medicine and other essential supplies. The US has given Israel a deadline of next week to boost aid supplies into Gaza, or risk having some military assistance cut off.
Plans to extend the ban on smoking to some outdoor areas, including near hospitals and playgrounds.
A message of hope from the cycling legend Sir Chris Hoy as he speaks for the first time since his terminal cancer diagnosis was made public.
Somebody's watching this right now who's just had a horrendous diagnosis like me to sort of look and think, well, blimey, I didn't think you could look like that or still be living a full life a year on from getting that diagnosis. Well, I'm not the only one, you know, and I'm not saying everybody's in the same boat, but there's hope out there.
Good morning. The cost of going to university is set to rise for the first time in 8 years, but will it put people off? I'll look at the impact on both universities and students.
123 Met police officers have been barred from the profession in the last year. The numbers have been rising steadily year on year from 50 in 2020. The force says an improved approach and systems means it's made significant progress in identifying police officers and staff who commit offences and corrupt the Met's integrity. 2 more cases of a potentially deadly strain of the Mpox virus have been detected, bringing the total number of cases in the UK to 3. The 2 new patients are linked to the first case. They're currently under specialist care at Guy's and St Thomas's NHS Foundation Trust. The UK Health Security Agency says the risk to the population remains low. Plans have been submitted to bulldoze Lewisham's shopping centre and build thousands of homes and student flats. The proposals by Landsec include a 23-storey co-living block with 445 studio rooms. Later phases of the developments will feature over 1,000 homes in 7 residential blocks. Around 20% of the flats would be affordable. A woman's been reunited with her father after 30 years following a chance viewing of BBC London. Mika had been told her dad slept rough in Tottenham. She was watching the story of a Good Samaritan from Tottenham who runs a cycling group distributing food to homeless people and decided to reach out to him via social media to see if he'd come across her dad.
I messaged him and then 20 minutes later he replied back saying, yeah, I've located your dad. And I was like, oh, okay, freaked out, but it was amazing. Went over and hugged him, and yeah, it was a really surreal moment, but it didn't feel like a stranger, if you know what I mean. It did feel like home in a very weird way.
250,000 more flats could have a flammable cladding, according to a new report from the National Audit Office. It suggests there may be more than 7,000 tower blocks across Britain still to be tested. Nearly 5,000 buildings have been identified since the Grenfell Tower fire, but only a third of them have been fixed so far, with work estimated to take up to another decade.
And on BBC London, news in the last hour or so that the tube strikes are off. Meanwhile, why bus drivers are protesting for better working conditions.
Fatigue, drivers working odd hours, getting tired. 7, 8, 9 days in a row is a lot.
Meanwhile, news that the upcoming tube strikes have been called off, also tonight. On the trail of his stolen bike, how an East Londoner led police to catch the thief and he got his bike back. Plus, the remarkable story of how a woman was reunited with her father after 30 years, thanks to this programme.
And here at Wimbledon Park, we're getting ready for the explosive fun of fireworks night. But with more cancellations across the capital this year, is it becoming a rarer tradition to remember the 5th of November?
123 Metropolitan Police officers have been barred from working in policing over the last year. That's more than twice as many as in 2020 and 2021. Scotland Yard says it continues to make significant progress to relentlessly identify and root out officers who corrupt the force's integrity. The father of 10-year-old Sarah Sharif has denied physically abusing and killing her as he began to give evidence in his defence at the Old Bailey. Her body was discovered at the family home in Woking in August last year. Irfan Sharif and Sarah's stepmother and uncle all deny murder. And Network Rail says plans to redevelop Liverpool Street Station are being redrawn by a new project team. It follows thousands of public objections, including from Westminster Council and Historic England. The original planning application remains under consideration by the City of London.